The biggest piece falls apart the fastest. No first wife exists. Jay-Z never entered into a secret marriage before Beyonce, and not a single public record, court document, credible news report, or first-hand account has ever surfaced to suggest otherwise. Zero evidence, from any direction, at any point in the last 3 decades. Jay-Z and Beyonce married on April 4, 2008, inside his Tribeca penthouse with roughly 40 guests present and 70,000 white orchids flown in from Thailand. That ceremony represents his first and only documented marriage. And that's where this particular thread dead ends, because the first wife framing appears to be a pure YouTube fabrication, a clickbait title engineered to merge several separate real stories into one package that pulls in views. Wendy Williams gets credited as the source most often, but she never made that claim. What she did say, though, generated enough heat on its own. Anyone who tuned into New York radio during the 2000s already knew Wendy Williams long before a television camera ever pointed at her. From 2001 to 2009, she hosted the Wendy Williams Experience on WBLS, and before that, she held a chair at HOT 97. No gossip broadcaster in hip-hop carried more weight or inspired more fear. Wendy built a network of moles to keep the information flowing, tapping friends, listeners, hotel staff, and airport employees as sources because attending industry events had become a safety concern for her. Every piece of intelligence went straight on the air. Her first documented bombshell about Jay-Z's personal life centered on a woman named Free, whose real name is Marie Wright, the co-host of 106 in Park on BET. During a radio broadcast, Wendy announced the following: Free gave birth Monday, 50, and Jay-Z was there. She gave birth in Brooklyn at Methodist Hospital. Wendy then joked about sending Keep Your Head Up flowers to Beyonce and Damn You flowers to Jay-Z. That audio clip traveled for years, and none of it held up. October 2024 brought a direct denial from Free herself during an Instagram live session where she put it plainly: "Cut it out. I'll say it one more time. Free has no biological children." No evidence of such a child has turned up anywhere, which means the entire allegation traces back to Wendy's microphone and nothing else. Her second major claim arrived on her daytime television show dated June 16, 2021. Wendy brought up Foxy Brown's upcoming memoir and told her audience, "I remember when Foxy and Jay-Z had I'll Be. This was allegedly a romantical thing. It's all right. I'll say alleged. You know we know. Yeah, she hit it before Beyonce. Allegedly." Context sharpens that statement considerably. When Jay-Z collaborated with Foxy Brown on Ain't No Nigga back in 1996, he was approximately 27 and she was 17. The implication landed hard. Foxy Brown responded by repeatedly and explicitly denying any romantic involvement with Jay-Z, most recently through October 2024 Instagram posts. Wendy, for her part, knew the legal terrain well enough to lean on the word allegedly like a crutch, and she leaned on it twice. Plenty of other commentary about the Carters came out of Wendy's mouth over the years. A 2011 segment floated the theory that Beyonce wore a fake baby bump. After the Solange elevator incident in 2014, Wendy connected it to Jay-Z's alleged relationship with designer Rachel Roy. She once accused the Carters of manipulating the media for the purpose of ticket sales and money. None of that, however, involved a secret first wife. That fiction got attached to Wendy's name long after the fact by people packaging content for clicks. Wendy became the default vessel for these Jay-Z rumors because she spent more than a decade at war with hip-hop's entire power structure, and the scars from that war run deep. Hot 97 effectively pushed her out back in 1998 after she aired claims about Diddy's personal life. That episode taught the entire industry what happens when someone crosses certain people on a large enough platform. Jay-Z operated inside that same power circle. Once Wendy landed at WBLS, retaliation came through music, as Jay-Z, Will Smith, and 50 Cent each began targeting her in their songs. Being frozen out of the industry is exactly what forced Wendy to build her intelligence network from the outside. She stopped going to the events and started getting people at the events to phone her instead. One episode that captured the dynamic well involved her co-host Charlemagne the God, whose firing from WBLS in 2009 drew immediate speculation that Jay-Z had engineered it. The reported trigger was an on-air interview Charlemagne conducted with former Rockefeller rapper Beanie Sigel, who used the conversation to air grievances against Jay-Z. Wendy addressed the estrangement herself in characteristically blunt terms. "I've never partied with them. I've never been to their house. I don't swim in their pool. Like, we're not friends." She followed that by saying she respected their grind. This wasn't one explosive confrontation with a beginning, middle, and end, but a sustained Cold War that stretched across years, powered entirely by Wendy's refusal to keep hip-hop's private business private. Now the narrative shifts to something backed by actual court filings, because while the first wife claim is made up and the free rumor was denied, a real person pursued legal action against Jay-Z for the better part of 15 years claiming biological paternity. Rymir Satterthwaite grew up in Philadelphia, born in July of 1993, which puts him at roughly 32 years old today. A 2015 notarized affidavit signed by his mother, Wanda Satterthwaite, lays out the origin story. Back in 1992, Wanda was 16 years old and going by the names Carmel and Precious when she met Jay-Z through a mutual acquaintance named Kalisha Allen in Philadelphia. Jay-Z was 22 at the time and going by Rock. According to Wanda's sworn statement, Jay-Z and a friend drove down to Philadelphia, picked up Wanda and Kalisha, and brought them to Jay-Z's aunt's apartment in Brooklyn. Protected sex occurred, Wanda stated, but the protection broke. A brief second visit followed 2 weeks later, and after that she never saw him again, only recognizing him on television about a year later. One detail matters above all others in this part of the story. Robert Graves, Wanda's high school sweetheart, was the name listed as father on Rymir's birth certificate, and that's how things stayed undisturbed for 17 years. Everything changed in 2010 when Wanda filed paternity documents in Pennsylvania requesting that both Robert Graves and Jay-Z submit to DNA tests. Graves cooperated and was conclusively excluded as Rymir's biological father. Jay-Z neither responded nor submitted to testing. Pennsylvania dismissed the case because Wanda had waited 17 years before naming a second potential father. The year 2011 brought Graves's name off the birth certificate entirely. Wanda's health was failing, which led her to transfer custody to Rymir's godmother, Dr. Lily Coley, and filed a child support lawsuit against Jay-Z in New Jersey. August 2012 delivered another dismissal after a Camden County hearing, this time on jurisdictional grounds, with Jay-Z's attorneys arguing the case belonged in a different state. Public attention arrived in 2015 when Rymir and Dr. Coley alleged that Jay-Z's legal team committed fraud to dodge DNA testing. Wanda stepped in front of a camera the following year and recorded a statement published by Radar Online. "I want the world to know that I support my son in his paternity suit with Sean Corey Carter." And then Wanda Satterthwaite died of heart failure at 43 years old, taking her first-hand testimony with her. A New Jersey judge tightened the vice in 2022 by issuing an injunction that barred Dr. Coley and Satterthwaite from filing new lawsuits in that state without the court's explicit approval, citing the pattern of repeated filings. May 2025 brought one final attempt when Rymir filed a federal lawsuit in California and Dr. Coley filed a separate suit alleging neglect, fraud, and collusion. Rymir withdrew his own case in July of 2025, and on November 4th of that year, Judge Sherilyn Peace Garnett dismissed Coley's lawsuit with prejudice under California's anti-SLAPP statute. What followed in January 2026 amounted to a financial gut punch. The court ordered Dr. Coley to pay Jay-Z $119,235.45 in attorney's fees. And this is where the whole thing becomes impossible to fully close. Across all those years, in all those courtrooms, spanning Pennsylvania, New Jersey, and California, no DNA test was ever conducted or ordered between Ramir Satterthwaite and Jay-Z. Every dismissal rested on procedural grounds, whether jurisdiction, standing, or statute of limitations. Not a single court ever weighed the biological evidence. Robert Graves took the test and was excluded. Jay-Z never sat for one at all. No interview, press conference, or social media post from Jay-Z has ever directly addressed the Satterthwaite claims. His responses arrived exclusively through attorneys. A June 2025 legal filing from his team declared, "The fabricated allegations and claims have been addressed and rejected in multiple other courts." 2 years earlier, his lawyers told the Daily Mail, "The allegations have been previously reviewed thoroughly by the courts and have been refuted." Music provided what might be the only personal acknowledgement. On Heard About Us from the 2018 joint album Everything Is Love with Beyonce, Jay-Z delivered the lines, "Billie Jean in his prime, for the 1,000th time, the kid ain't mine. Online they call me dad, kiddingly. You're not supposed to take this dad thing literally." Most listeners interpreted that as a direct reference to Satterthwaite, though Jay-Z never confirmed it. Beyonce has offered no public comment on the paternity claims, not once. One final layer wraps around this entire narrative, and it carries the most weight emotionally. All of this renewed viral interest in Wendy Williams exposes Jay-Z content arrived at a moment when Wendy Williams lacks the ability to control her own story. February 2024 brought an announcement from her care team disclosing diagnoses of primary progressive aphasia and frontotemporal dementia. A court-appointed legal guardianship has governed her life since 2022, with attorney Sabrina Morrissey controlling her finances, medical decisions, and daily routine. Wendy has been living on the memory care floor of a Midtown Manhattan assisted living facility, a place she has called a prison. A November 2025 independent neurological evaluation threw everything into doubt by concluding that Williams does not have frontotemporal dementia, which directly contradicted an earlier court-ordered assessment. Attorney Joe Tacopina announced in December 2025 that she would be out of guardianship by year's end, though the process still appeared to be ongoing as of early 2026. While that battle plays out, her old radio segments and television clips keep getting scraped, recut, and uploaded under misleading titles by creators chasing the algorithm. Wendy becomes the credited source for claims she never actually voiced. Let the evidence land where it lands. The first wife story is invented from whole cloth, and Wendy Williams never uttered those words. What Wendy did broadcast, the claim about Free having Jay-Z's baby and the insinuation about Foxy Brown's alleged relationship with him, both women denied directly. Those remain unverified gossip that originated on a radio show and went no further. Ramir Satherweight's case is real, documented across multiple jurisdictions, and now legally finished. DNA testing excluded Robert Graves as the father. Jay-Z was never tested. 15 years of litigation produced no answers, only procedural dismissals and a 6-figure legal bill handed to a godmother. Both federal cases ended in 2025 with prejudice, meaning they cannot be refiled. Whether Jay-Z is Rymir Satherwaite's biological father remains on a technical level an open question. Whether a DNA test will ever settle it appears to be answered. Barring something nobody expects, it won't happen. The viral content that sparked this conversation turns out to be a patchwork, built from real gossip, real court filings, and outright invention, all stitched together beneath a headline engineered to make you click. Now you know what the record actually shows, and just as importantly, where the record goes silent. If this kind of deep dive is what you come to YouTube for, hit subscribe, because separating what happened from what the algorithm wants you to believe is exactly what we do here. Drop a comment and let me know whether you think the Satherweight case deserved to be